It's not often I do the same topic 2 videos in a row, but we'll get to the smart battery case eventually, don't worry about it, that'll come, but that can wait. The Cybertruck, there's just way too much to talk about, and a bunch of stuff Elon didn't bring up on stage that I feel like I have to bring up in this video in case some of you don't know about it yet. There are things I definitely think they should have brought up on stage, and also just my extended thoughts, because my opinion on the Cybertruck per the hour appears to be shifting quite a bit. So, Chonkmobile Part 2, here we go. So it's very easy to get caught up with that starting price because it is really good, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But one milestone, this is a very significant one, I don't see a lot of people bringing up, is that triple motor version of the Cybertruck is actually the best cost per mile range we've ever seen in any electric vehicle. It wasn't as eye-grabbing, probably, as the Tesla Roadster because, you know, that one looks all slick and stylish, whereas the Cybertruck looks like a doorstop. But aerodynamics aside, I guess that doesn't seem to matter as much here. That is a $70,000 electric vehicle, which is cheaper than the cheapest Model S you can get right now, which is currently the record holder for best range in an EV of anything you can buy today. That starts at $80,000 for 373 miles. This one is $10,000 less and over 500. I feel like no one really grasped the reality of that statistic. The fact that we're now getting to the point where even somewhat affordable pickup trucks are getting range unparalleled to any other EV out there. Yes, the Roadster can go 620 miles, and that's also really amazing, but it also costs $200,000, or the price of 4 maxed out Mac Pros. But that statistic I felt did not get enough attention. So keep that in mind moving forward. That triple motor Cybertruck is crushing it in range and price points across the board. The other really cool option that Elon followed up with on Twitter was someone suggesting that kind of garage door style cover for the bed of the truck should be laced with solar panels, because a lot of people park pickup trucks in the sun. This is a very large vehicle. It's very tall, very wide. A lot of people may not end up putting this thing in their garage, and of course, people who drive pickup trucks often end up using them out in the field a lot. And Elon did confirm that there will be an option to add solar panels to that back of the vehicle, and he's estimating that it could end up giving you up to 15 miles of range every single day, as long as it's, you know, parked outside and can receive sunlight. He also talked about actually adding wings that could fold out and give it even more solar coverage, which could potentially add up to 30 to 40 miles of range to the vehicle every day. So these numbers, I'm sure, are very out there. They didn't talk about it on stage, so I doubt they have a prototype with solar panels on these, but the fact that Elon is confirming it and saying that yes, they want to do that is also very exciting for situations where you're gonna park your car outside for an extended period of time. A circumstance a lot of EVs can sometimes struggle in is when you're going on a long trip. Let's say you're gonna be out of town for like a month, so you go to the airport and you either leave your car there or you leave your car at someone else's house, and you kind of have to make sure that the battery doesn't drain itself and die. Even when the car is not in motion, it does use a little bit of battery and it can hold its charge pretty well, but the fact that you could actually park your car somewhere, no supercharger, no charger at all, but as long as it's sunny while you're working or while you're at the theme park or whatever, it's sitting there all day and actually increasing the range instead of slowly decreasing by the computer, utilizing Sentry mode or checking for software updates or doing whatever the car needs to do, it can still gain a range in the process. This is the first time Elon has said they want to start adding solar panels to the Tesla. So that would be really cool to see in the future, requiring you to plug in way less than you currently do. And he's also confirmed something that a lot of people were hoping for: more color options are coming. So while the Cybertruck event involved a lot of just raw sheet metal with this Collard steel, and there was no paint on it, it was kind of like this Mad Max-esque look, Supersaf, another YouTuber, actually requested that they make a matte black version, and Elon confirmed that they would do that. So while we're getting an extreme sneak peek, given this vehicle's not coming out for another 2 years at minimum, he is of course open to other colors. We will probably see more of those in time, but knowing that he's on board with the matte black idea, I think totally solidifies Marquez, but that's unnecessary because we all know Marquez has one already. Now going back to that price point, this is something a lot of people I think appear to overlook, because a lot of the time when we think of the price of the Model 3 3 in our heads, a lot of us say $35,000, but that one doesn't really count because you can't order it from the website. It's considered a special off-menu order, and they turn off a lot of the features in that option. So it's not really what the Model 3 starts at. The Model 3 on the website currently starts at $39,490. That's, of course, before all the fees and taxes. But if you look at the starting price of the Cybertruck, I think it's personally insane that this amazing vehicle with all these functional features, as weird as it may look, actually has a almost identical starting price as the Model 3. An already really good selling car, and there are lots of pickup trucks that sell really well in the United States that are more expensive than that base model. And think of the differences there. I mean, the Model 3 can sit 5 people maximum. Every Cybertruck supports 6 people. Cybertruck has adaptive air suspension. It's got air compressor, 220-volt charging from the back. It's way larger if you've seen any of these videos of people on the inside of it. Tons of headroom, a very large vehicle, and the same range at 250 miles plus. Probably going to be more than that by the time this thing actually starts delivering, and that's the same range that the Model 3 currently starts at. So apart from the 0 to 60 speed, because the Cybertruck 0 to 60 on the base model is 6.5 seconds, so slow, I know. Apart from that though, functionally and interior-wise, it's pretty much better than the Model 3 in almost every way aside from aesthetic. I personally find that incredible that they were able to add, you know, the garage door mechanism, that huge bed with the tailgate that's a ramp, adaptive air suspension, air compressor, all these charging outlets, the 17-inch display, much larger, much more seating than before, much more spacious, lots of headroom. Despite all of that, they were still able to start it at the same price of the really popular Model 3. This is mostly, I think, because of that chonk clunky design. It's actually going to save a lot of money on manufacturing. This is something I don't think Tesla gets enough credit for. How many car companies have you seen release concepts or demo these futuristic cars at EV auto shows that they go crazy with the design and they add things that you've never seen in a car before, and it's really impressive, but because of that design choice, it ends up costing millions of dollars, and they're probably going to end up removing that design anyway on the production model, and the production model still is going to end up costing well over $200,000, as futuristic as it may look. The Tesla team is not only genius when it comes to designing cars with great power efficiency and great battery usage, but they're also a genius and a master of mass production, figuring out how to change a design but also make it more affordable. Usually anytime you try to do some type of radical redesign, you end up making the product more expensive and less functional. That's why, as controversial as the Cybertruck design is, I'm getting more and more okay with it, and it's actually starting to grow on me more, despite it looking nothing like the rest of the lineup. I'm actually finding myself liking it hour by hour. The more I look at it, the more I start to think that is kind of cool, because you came up with something that can have just as much functionality, but also you found a way to make it cheaper. That's amazing. I mean, most car companies don't consider that when trying to redesign a vehicle or give something the futuristic look. They're usually like, well, it's the future, so you're going to end up paying extra for it, whereas this is on par with the price of a lot of modern pickup trucks and oftentimes lower for equal or better performance, which that's what's kind of mind-blowing about the Cybertruck in my opinion. But of course, it was very easy to miss that because of the botched glass demo on stage. Glass is glass, right? And glass breaks, thanks to Zach from Cherry Rig Everything, who did a great video on the Cybertruck. But the interesting thing a lot of people may have missed about that demo is that it worked flawlessly behind the scenes many, many times. Elon even tweeted out a video of France throwing that metal ball and not even scratching the glass, and they said they did this same demo many, many times. They said they did this exact same demo many times behind the scenes, and this was like the one time out of 50 basically that it actually ended up breaking. I think you should believe them on that. Maybe some of you are Tesla skeptics out there, but honestly, think about it logically from a second. Even detaching your anti-bias or your bias towards Tesla, if they threw that metal ball at the glass and 50% of the time it shattered, they wouldn't do that on stage. That would be really embarrassing and cause, Elon's stock price to not do so well. But the fact that they were very confident about it, despite it not working, does, I think, prove that behind the scenes it was working so much of the time, a vast majority of the time, that they felt like it was safe enough to pull it out on stage and try. But there are some people that have talked to the engineers at the Cybertruck event that are saying they were throwing stuff at it all day, and that probably weakened the integrity of the glass beforehand, so it was put beyond the average use case. Obviously, if you buy a Cybertruck, please don't just throw stuff at the glass all the time. They were pushing it beyond everyday use. Not to say that the glass will never shatter. A lot of articles keep saying it's indestructible. It isn't. I mean, vibranium doesn't exist, people. But the fact that they were confident enough and are showing videos of it behind the scenes working now, I think still proves that the glass is far more durable than any other glass you would find in standard pickup trucks. The point is they're trying. You can't point to a single part of this car and say, they didn't do much with that part of the pickup truck. No, they basically redesigned everything, other than wheels. The other thing they didn't really showcase very well on stage is that there was way more storage than we originally thought. Yes, there is still going to be a crumple zone because there is still a frunk. It's not super noticeable, but yeah, there is actually storage space on the front of the car as well as that 6.5-foot bed in the back. Plus, underneath that bed, there's even more storage, which they didn't showcase on stage, but we're now seeing in photos from the website. Sort of like the trunks in other Teslas, there is another layer that you can open and put luggage and stuff down there. So storage was even better than advertised and likely has way more storage space than your traditional pickup. And the last thing I want to bring up is all of the weird things that are still technically missing. No rear view mirrors, which are at this point required when selling a vehicle. Here at least, the user's allowed to take them off, but when they accept delivery, they have to have those attached. So what are they going to look like? I think that could throw off the whole design of the car, but likely it's not going to be a huge priority because by the time this thing starts delivering, Tesla probably believes that full autonomy is going to be a thing. And they're also making the interior of the Cybertruck even more minimal than the Model 3 because there's no gear stocks, which I saw a lot of people not bringing up. You actually change the gears, drive, reverse, or neutral, off the display itself. And don't get me wrong, I agree, that was probably going to throw a lot of people off, and a lot of people may not like that. They may prefer having the gear shift that they can just tap to go into drive and park and whatnot. Putting it on the screen may be a huge learning curve for a lot of people, but it's the future. You know, you got to embrace it. If you're willing to spend that kind of money on that kind of looking truck, you're probably willing to change the way you drive a little bit. So I'm also concerned how blinkers work. You know, where do you push to activate your left or right blinker or something like that? Maybe they're just assuming this car's going to drive itself so much of the time, you don't need a blinker. Or just plug in the directions and the car will automatically engage the blinker when it's time to turn, which, again, I can understand why people would be upset about that. I think there's a huge chance that before this thing actually starts heading into mass production, we could see a lot of interior design shifts like that. The steering wheel may be looking more standard than it does right now, or adding in the gear shifts before they start delivering, or at least one toggle so you can just activate blinkers. I don't think they should add that just to the steering wheel buttons or something like that. But yeah, so much new, so much weird the more I look at it. And after talking about it and analyzing the design so much over the past couple days, and then now going into public and seeing traditional pickup trucks, that's what actually made me start liking the Cybertruck design even more. At first, of course, I looked at it and I was very confused. I thought it was very bizarre and it didn't look like a traditional pickup truck. But the more I understand why they did it to make it functional and give the performance and the specifications that no other EV pickup is going to be able to obtain for years to come, that's why it started making so much sense to me, and it actually made me start to like the design because I appreciate that they're willing to do something so weird, so out of the ordinary, and I think they got the fundamentals right. That's what I would like to close today's video with. Pickup trucks were not made to be good-looking cars. Sure, there's a lot of you out there that hate the look of the Cybertruck and would like a much more traditional-looking one, and you think the Tesla team should be fired for this, or this should have never gotten past the drawing board. I get it, it's weird, and I'm not going to try to fault you for thinking that it looks bad, but remember what the fundamentals of a pickup truck are. It was never about the aesthetic. It was never about following a traditional design language. If you want a car that's pretty, I mean, that's why they make the Roadster. That's why they make the Model 3, the Model X, the Model S. Very good-looking cars, but at the end of the day, the thing about exterior design is it all comes down to personal preference. There's a lot of people that seem to like the Cybertruck design and a lot of people that don't, but that's not the point of a pickup. The idea is not to make a design that everyone thinks looks pretty. A pickup is about doing more than regular cars, being more functional for people, and Tesla prioritized that above all else. Let's make a car with excellent range, let's make it affordable so it's obtainable to lots of people while still giving it insane towing capabilities, amazing performance that's unbeatable by lots of other regular sports cars. That's what I think the genius of the Cybertruck is. Sure, the exterior is not lovable, it's weird and wacky, but because it's unique and because it's so different and allows the car to be cheaper in a way that kind of makes me like it more. We've just been so accustomed to the way pickup trucks look for so long that as soon as we've seen something unlike anything before, our immediate reaction is to deny it, reject it. That's not right, that's not good. But it's not exactly like foldables, where it's like design change for the sake of design change, where it doesn't really add that much functionality to the device. In my opinion, this is the reverse opposite of innovation being used in a good way. Foldables are innovative, but not in a way that adds much functionality, and it does get the futuristic tag, but it also comes at a much higher price that most people aren't going to be willing to pay. This is how you do innovation, people. This is how you reverse that process. No, it's not a traditional design. We're trying trying to make it more futuristic and stuff, but that in the end ends up making you save money and end up still getting that excellent range, excellent performance at a price people can obtain. And I think while a lot of traditional pickup drivers aren't going to like this thing, the fundamentals are what really matter at the end, and if the price is good and the specs are good, people are going to tolerate external designs that aren't that great, because when a car is first shown off, we obsess over the design because that's all really we can do with it. We can only look at it. But once you buy a car, once you start driving it daily and you're using it week by week by week, you're used to looking at it. The design becomes something you're accustomed to, and you're not admiring the look of it anymore. You're just using it. That's what pickups are for. They're for being tools and being used. So even if you're not a big fan of the exterior, you don't have to be. You're not going to be sitting around staring at it all day. You're going to be inside it the most of the time you're looking at it and using it for work or hauling stuff. And over time, I think people will adjust to it. I've already seen it in comments and on Twitter, and I think a lot of people actually like this design more than we make it out to be on YouTube videos. And in polls and stuff I've seen, usually it's around less than 20% of people that say they outright hate it. And we still have 2 years to get used to this design and actually have it grow on us. And within the first 2 days of looking at this thing, it's already starting to grow on me. And I'm borderline considering getting one in the future. Not on launch day or anything, but I'm just considering it. Let's put it that way. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think of the Cybertruck by hitting me up over on Twitter, joining our Discord. This is your Tesla Sheep here. I'll see you guys in the next one.